Before we dive into this shocking tale, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below to show your support. If you think you've heard it all before, think again. What you're about to hear from inside one of America's most notorious jails will leave you questioning everything. Now, let's get into it. The scream echoed down the halls of San Quentin prison, cutting through the chaos of a late-night gang fight. But this wasn't a normal fight, it was a declaration of war. Inmates, battered and bloody, were thrown into chaos as guards scrambled to maintain order. But it wasn't the riot that caught the attention of the guards or the prisoners, it was the body that was found in the yard shortly after. Kenneth "Ken" Dawson, a notorious gang leader from the Aryan Brotherhood, was lying lifeless on the ground, his eyes wide open, frozen in terror. His body was positioned in a way that suggested a message, and this wasn't just some random killing. This was the work of someone much more powerful, someone who was about to take over the entire prison system. The guards quickly took control of the situation, but they knew they were powerless to stop what was coming next. Dawson's death wasn't just another murder, it was a warning to every inmate in San Quentin. The balance of power was shifting, and no one, not even the toughest of gang leaders, was safe anymore. Detective Sarah Williams, a seasoned investigator, was assigned to look into the case. She was familiar with the violence inside San Quentin, having dealt with it before. But something felt different this time. Dawson's death wasn't random, it was planned. The fact that he was one of the most feared figures in the prison only added to the mystery. Williams knew that behind these walls, nothing was as it seemed. She would need to dig deeper. The first step was to gather information from the people who were closest to Dawson, his gang members. But there was a problem. No one talked. The gangs controlled everything, including the flow of information. The Aryan Brotherhood, in particular, had a stronghold on San Quentin, and they weren't going to give up their grip without a fight. Williams knew she had to gain the trust of someone inside, someone who had seen it all and was willing to talk. She turned to Jake Martinez, a former gang member who had been locked up in San Quentin for years. Jake had managed to survive by keeping a low profile, avoiding any direct conflict with the gangs. He had a reputation for being neutral, and that was exactly what Williams needed. If she could get him to talk, she could get closer to understanding the political game being played inside the prison. Jake met with Williams in a small, windowless room. He was cautious at first, not trusting the detective. But as she spoke, he saw something in her, a determination to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. "They're all just waiting for the right moment," Jake said, leaning forward in his chair. "The gangs aren't fighting for turf anymore. They're fighting for control. And once one of them takes control, everything changes. They don't just control the prison, they control everything on the outside. Drugs, money, power. The inmates, they're just pawns in a much bigger game." Sarah listened carefully, her mind racing. This wasn't just about survival, this was about something much bigger. She asked Jake who might be behind Dawson's death. Jake paused, looking around nervously before speaking. "It wasn't just the Brotherhood. Someone else is pulling the strings. I don't know who, but they're making moves that nobody saw coming. People are scared, and I'm telling you, Sarah, this is just the beginning. More heads are going to roll before this is over." Just then, the door to the room creaked open, and a guard stepped out. Ped inside. His eyes flicked to Sarah and Jake before quickly turning away. Sarah's heart sank. The air was thick with danger, someone was watching. Jake, his face pale, looked at her and whispered. The prison woke up angry. By morning, San Quentin felt different. The air was heavy. Guards walked faster. Inmates stayed quiet. When a place known for noise goes silent, it means one thing: people are afraid. Detective Sarah Williams stood outside the workshop where the guard's body had been found. The wall had already been cleaned, but she could still see where the message had been. Whoever did this wanted everyone to know they could reach anyone, inmate or officer. It didn't matter. "This wasn't panic," Sarah said to Lieutenant Mark Reynolds, the ranking officer on duty. "This was planned." Reynolds nodded. "We locked down 3 units last night. No weapons found, no witnesses, no one ever sees anything in here," Sarah replied. "Because someone always sees them." The dead guard's name was Thomas Keller, 46 years old, married, 2 kids. He had worked San Quentin for over a decade and kept his record clean. No debts, no known enemies, which made his death more troubling than Dawson's. Sarah reviewed the guard schedules. Keller had switched shifts at the last minute. Someone had known he would be alone. As the day went on, small things started to happen. Phones stopped working in one unit. Food deliveries were delayed in another. Inmates began refusing orders, calmly, all at once. Not violent. Organized. "It's like they're testing us," Reynolds said. Sarah knew better. "They're showing you." She asked to see Jake Martinez again. When guards went to his cell, it was empty. That sent a cold wave through her chest. Jake had been moved overnight. No paperwork, no record, just gone. That didn't happen by accident. Sarah pushed harder. She interviewed kitchen workers, laundry crews, yard officers. Most answers were short and careful. Eyes stayed low, hands shook. Then one inmate, Evan Brooks, finally spoke. "They killed Dawson because he broke a rule," Evan said quietly. "Not the heirs, the real one." Sarah leaned in. "What rule? You don't act alone," Evan replied. "Dawson tried to take control without permission. He skipped steps. He scared people who shouldn't be scared." "Who gave permission?" Sarah asked. Evan looked toward the ceiling, where a camera blinked red. "You're asking the wrong question." That night, Sarah stayed late, watching the surveillance feeds. She noticed patterns. Inmates moving during count, doors opening seconds too long, guards distracted at perfect times. Someone was coordinating this from inside, maybe more than one person. Then the system glitched. For 90 seconds, one camera went dark, the same hallway near the workshop. When the feed came back, Sarah zoomed in. A figure stood at the end of the hall, calm, still, waiting. The person looked straight up at the camera and raised one finger, then walked away. Sarah froze. "That wasn't a threat," Reynolds said from behind her. "No," Sarah replied. "That was a promise." Before she could respond, alarms blared again. A fight had broken out in the yard, two gangs rushing each other at once. Guards poured in, shouting orders. The chaos felt real this time, but Sarah watched closely. The fight ended too fast. No serious injuries, no weapons, just enough noise to pull staff away from the East Wing. "Check the infirmary," Sarah said suddenly. They ran. Inside the infirmary, a nurse stood shaking. A patient lay unconscious on a bed, not an inmate. It was Lieutenant Reynolds. Someone had switched his wristband, drugged him, moved him without cameras catching it. On the bed beside him sat a folded piece of paper. Sarah opened it. "Control is quiet. Power is patient." Her hands tightened. This wasn't chaos anymore. This was a takeover done carefully, smartly, without blood when possible. As medics worked on Reynolds, a call came over the radio. "Detective Williams," a guard said, voice unsteady. "Sinet, you need to come to cell block D, now." When Sarah arrived, every inmate was standing at their cell doors, silent, watching her. One man stepped forward, tall, calm, a face Sarah recognized from old. The air inside San Quentin felt thick with fear, and Sarah's pulse raced as she stood there, surrounded by the dead silence of cell block D. The prison, once a loud, chaotic mess of clanging metal and shouting inmates, was eerily still. Every prisoner was at their door, staring at Sarah. Their eyes weren't angry, but calculating, as though they already knew what would happen next. For a moment, Sarah considered running, but the doors had already slammed shut, and she couldn't get back the way she came. The only way out was through, but she knew that the game had changed. Whoever was behind this, whoever had infiltrated the prison at its core, had just made their next move. "We've been expecting you." Daniel Price's voice echoed through the dead silence as he stepped forward. He was still wearing the same calm, unsettling smile, his posture straight as he stood at the front of the block. He looked like a man who was used to getting what he wanted, and in San Quentin, power was everything. Sarah swallowed her fear and approached him slowly. "Price," she said, her voice steady but laced with suspicion. "What's going on here? Why are you all standing like this?" Price's smile grew wider, and he spread his arms wide as though showing her something grand. "You're in the middle of something much bigger than just gangs or drugs, detective. This is about control, the one thing that can make or break someone in here." He turned his gaze to the other inmates, who remained eerily still, like they were waiting for something. A signal. Sarah's mind raced. She had no idea how long she had until this became a full-blown crisis. Whatever game was being played here, it wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about something far more dangerous. "How many people are involved in this?" she demanded, trying to keep her voice firm, though it trembled slightly. "You're asking the wrong question, Mr. Ors." "Ein," Price replied. His tone was smooth, almost too calm for the situation. "The real question is, how far are you willing to go to stop this?" He stepped closer, his eyes locking with hers. Because this isn't something you can solve with paperwork or investigations. This is a war, and it's already started. Before Sarah could respond, she heard the sharp click of a lock turning from behind her. She spun around, her heart sinking as she realized that another set of doors had been shut. It wasn't just cell block D, it was the entire prison. The whole complex was now under the control of whoever had orchestrated this. A voice came over the intercom system. It was low, almost muffled, but unmistakable. The words hit Sarah like a punch to the gut. The clock is ticking. Power is silent. We are the walls. The message wasn't just a declaration. It was a warning. Price chuckled softly. They're not just playing for control of this place anymore. They want it all. The streets, the system, everything. He stepped back and gestured to the silent prisoners around him. And you, detective, are just the next pawn in the game. You'll see soon enough. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the weight of their eyes, all of them watching her like they were waiting for her next move. She stepped back, eyes darting from one inmate to another, trying to understand what she was up against. The walls felt like they were closing in on her. Price wasn't lying. There was something bigger happening here. I need to get to the control room, Sarah said, trying to hide the tremor in her voice. I need to stop this before it gets worse. Price's expression turned cold. You think they'll let you? You think you can walk right back through those gates and stop this? No, detective. It's already too late. We own this place now. The words hit her harder than any physical blow. The inmates owned this place. San Quentin, once a prison, was now the staging ground for a massive takeover, orchestrated from the inside, and the gang leaders, inmates, and corrupt